Hey guys, and welcome to a new video. Today, episode number 5 of my Uber Boss project, where I'm tackling on every single Uber Boss 100 times and see how profitable they are, how bad are they to run, or how good are they, and stuff like that. And today, episode number 5, we are tackling 100 Uber Shapers, and you can activate your Ubers if you scale into the Uber Boss Pinnacle thingy keystones over here, right? And this time it's Cosmic Wounds, which says the Shaper's realm is level 85, indicates the Uber version, and this also unlocks the Uber Elder, Uber Elder, something like that, right? So this is like a 2-in-1, and today we're gonna do 100 Uber Shapers, and then probably the next project will be Uber Elder, because we're getting the fragments of the Uber Elder from the Uber Shaper as well. Or yeah, this is where it's coming from, right? So, or at least a part of it. Let's take a look at the write-down of the 100 Uber Shapers. We have the classic fragments dropping from the Guardian maps, the Pit of the Chimera map and Forge of the Phoenix map and all these like kind of Shaper Guardian maps. And a set goes for about 78 chaos, which would be a total of 33.91 divines. I did buy them in bulk because I'm too lazy to buy like 100 sets one by one. And the bulk price was around about 4 divines per 10 sets. That means one divine usually gives you like a stack of like fragments, like 10 of here, right? So this is like 4 divines for an entire set, which is about 40 divines. So we got the classic Shaper loot, which is Shaper's Touch, Voidwalker, Dying Sun, Echoes of Creation, Solstice Vigil, and the Starforge, as well as one fragment, either Knowledge or Shape, which is part of the Uber Elder set. Then we have the Uber loot coming from the Supreme Vision, which is kind of like your big money maker, I would say, because some of those, let me quickly check up. I think the Hatred one is, the most valuable one. If we go for Supreme Vision, and then we kind of have to check other skills than Hatred, I think. Hatred are disabled. That should be it. So they are going for 110 divines with the Hatred one. There is other valuable ones as well, but I think, just out of my brain, I think this is like the most expensive one. I don't even know which build uses that. I think it was the Ward Loopers using that, but I've never played a Ward Looper. It's just like things out of my mind, right? So I think this is gonna be your big money maker. And then on top we have like some other kind of like weird things. Entropic Devastation, I think it's a divination card. Then we have the Cosmic Reliquary Key, as well as the Orb of Dominance, the Feared, and Dying Light. Or at least Dying Light was a div card. I don't even know what Entropic Devastation was. Let me quickly check that, because there's so much loot in the game. Wait, what is that? Oh yeah, there was some gloves. Yeah, there was some weird gloves. Sound spell Impel. Oh yeah, Impel gloves. Okay. They exist there, they drop there. But the weird thing here on the Uber Shaper, other than the other Uber bosses, the entrance cost of an Uber Shaper is pretty low, and you're guaranteed one of these 2 fragments. So you say, hey, it's like 78 chaos investment, or like more, a little bit more, like let's say 100 chaos investment, and you drop one of these fragments guaranteed. So whatever we do, we cannot lose currency on this, right? So if I just say, hey, I did 100 and I dropped 100 knowledge fragments, for example, I already made like over 30 divines profit. So it is impossible to lose currency on Uber Shaper. But when I started or thinking about this project, with all the Uber bosses, I was thinking like, bro, Uber Shaper and Uber Cortex and probably Cyrus will be so freaking boring, because there are so many stages, and even if you kind of like one-shot the Uber Shaper, there is still 3 phases and 2 intermissions that you have to do. So you cannot just go in and just make like 30-second runs, because then obviously everybody would do that. But I feel like, even if you like super fast, I guess like 5 minutes or so is the minimum, probably even 6 or 7 minutes that you have to like spend your time per Uber Shaper. So it is gonna take quite a while, but it is guaranteed profit. The question is just like how much profit we're gonna make. So in the good old fashion, we're gonna start the first set together, or at least not the first set, the first Uber boss. And I haven't done Uber Shaper in I don't know when it was the last time I've done an Uber Shaper. Might be a couple leagues ago, because You know, my point of interest in Uber bosses is not really there, but it is basically the classic Shaper encounter, just a little bit harder with like extra clones and stuff like that. I'm playing here an armor stacker, and I will probably make like a build guide about this character once the projects are done, the D&D here. But as you see, like, even if I one-shot the bosses, like, there's, like, mini-bosses and stuff like that. This used to be the end-game boss back in the days, you know, Pedrich Farm remembers. And then, all of a sudden, the Uber Elder came, you know, or Elder, and this was like, yo, Elder and Shaper, the two... It's like Searing Exile again, the Eater of Worlds, just from, like, fucking 20 years ago, basically, right? But yeah, good old times where people... We're doing map showcases to showcase their insane builds in the Guardian maps, and if you had a really crazy good build, you were maybe doing a Shaper, a normal Shaper, because Uber Shaper didn't exist back in the days, as a map showcase or a boss showcase, right? Oh yeah, good old times. How far have we become? But as you see, there is so many like mini bosses out of maps that just have multiple stages that you just cannot skip. I'm actually looking forward. We're currently 1 minute 15 into the run, and I haven't even seen stage 1 of Shaper, even though I'm like one-shotting everything, right? They have to do this like 4 wings over here. 1, 2, 3, 4. I think this one is a fast one, and he's dead. And let's go to Shaper phase number 1. And then it's intermission, and then it's phase, and then it's intermission, and then you can kill him. Currently 1 minute 40. So let's do this, click this button, click that button, and yep, he's dead. Like, on Uber Shaper, he's like 2 clones that are doing stuff as well. He's like Voids, like, what is it, like Shaper balls, or like a set of 3 instead of like 1. So it is a bit more difficult, and obviously based on your build, it can be harder, it can be easier. I think for my build, I have like... Currently, I think a bit over 900 million DPS or something. And I can pretty much face tank almost everything in the game, I think. So, I'm not too worried of failing a set. Let's say it like that, right? But, as I said, it's still gonna take a while. We're currently like 2 minutes 30 in, and we are currently killing the second transmission. Or first, it's actually the first intermission. Oh wait, this is Maven watched even. Lul. Now instead... Yeah, I thought so. So one difference here, Zana will not make her shield, so you have to actually dodge all these things here, right? And these balls can pretty much hurt, unless you have a pretty tanky build, then you don't really bother too much with it, but... You know, these balls hurt, let's say it like that. And you need a pretty tanky build to actually endure that phase. If you get one-shot by the balls... You know, it's gonna be like a 2-3 portal minimum. Molten Shell, stuff like that really helps out. And a very good EHP against like elemental damage. I think these balls are doing like lots and lots of cold damage and have a lot of like cold penetration, stuff like that. It's really like not the easiest. And dodging them, like, let's assume you get one shot. So you need to dodge every single ball. This can become quite clunky, I would say. Does work sometimes, but not always. But hey, we have 6 portals, right? It's not hardcore, at least for me. And we are in the last phase. Yo, this is going faster as expected. Currently 3 minutes 50. Can we kill him right away? Alright, there he is dead. So, we got gloves, a fragment. I don't think I'm gonna bother with any of the Shaper drops, even though you could bulk them up, because some of these bases are used for like Awaken Orb crafting or, you know, elevating stuff. So if you want to have like more profit, you can definitely like get all of them. But, you know, I have so much quad taps for sale out of the last couple Uber bosses that it's getting really quite annoying. Like if you check my map tab here, right? These quad tabs are all like from sales from like the Uber bosses. And if I think about, yo, I need like 10 more quad tabs now to fit in all the Shaper loot, you know, I personally, I just don't want to bother with that. But if you're going to go for the profit, you would actually pick up all those as well. So we got 1 fragment of shape, a pair of Crusader gloves. So basically, this is how we're going to do it. 1 fragment of shape, 1 Shaper's touch. And we made the 0.7 divines, 160 chaos, which already would be around about like a 90 chaos profit out of the first. The map run itself was, yeah, close to 4 minutes, 4 minutes 14. So that was actually faster than I expected, but, you know, my build has quite a lot of power when it comes to killing Uber bosses. Alright, 99 more Uber Shapers to go, and I guess we're gonna see us again once I'm done, and we have the final results of, yeah, the killing spree. Alrighties, I'm done with killing the Uber Shaper 100 times, and it was actually not as bad as I thought it's gonna be. Like, when I was thinking about this entire project, I said, like, yo, Cortex and Uber Shaper might be, like, the worst ones because they take forever, and I expected to be, like, a 6, maybe 7 minutes run. This last one was like 3 minute 30, and I even had runs with like 2 minutes 30, like sub 3 minutes. So I would say like the average run is like about 3.5 minutes. So it was actually a lot faster than I expected it to do. And on top of that, or at least the cherry on the top, is you cannot lose currency with this strategy, basically, because just a single fragment that is 100% drop chance, for example, I got 46 fragments of knowledge and 54 fragment of shape. One single of these is worth more than the entire set of the run. So whatever you drop in there, you're always gonna double your currency just by killing the Uber boss. You know, so there is just no way of losing currency. But the thing is, how much currency did we make in the end of the day? Was it like 50 chaos per run, or was it actually more? So let's check it out. So this is the total loot of 100 Uber Shapers. And obviously we have a lot of like base loot. We had 45 gloves, 21 boots, 15 flasks over here. We have 14 Echoes of Creation, 3 Solstice Vigil, and 0 Starforges. Yep. I killed 100 Uber Shapers and didn't drop a single Starforge, which is kind of like awkward, because as far as I remember, it was like or used to be like a 10% chance or something, but maybe after they buffed the Starforges and this Uber Pinnacle, or at least Uber, no, like boss uniques, because Starforge is not an Uber boss drop, it's a regular boss drop, but it once got buffed. Maybe this is when they insanely lowered the drop chance, because as I said, 100 bosses and not a single Starforge, that is like weird, you know? And only 3 amulets on top of that is also like kind of weird. But there is more loot, and this is the Uber loot, right? And there is Sublime Vision, the Entropic Devastation, and the Cosmic Reliquary Key. The gloves we got 2 times, we got the Sublime Vision 2 times, and the Cosmic Reliquary Key 2 times. So that was pretty good. And on top of that, we got 6 Orb of Domination, which is kind of actually really, really rare. I actually thought that I failed somewhere and put them in my personal tab or something like this, but there are none, right? So in 100 Uber bosses, only 6 Orb of Dominance is dropped. So they actually have a very, very low drop chance. Same as like all the other stuff, basically, right? And then the Dying Light Divination card, I haven't seen a single time. It is on the wiki. I haven't dropped it a single time. It's worth 5 chaos, so not really too bothered too much with it. You know, it's a div card. It gives you like a Shaper Elder level 100 diamond ring, so it's whatever, you know. But yeah. So what would that be? Basically, I made 206 divines in 100 Uber Shapers. The core investment was about 33.91. So I made 172 divine orbs profit, which would be about 31 divines per hour if you would calculate it like that. That you say like, hey, average run time is like 3.5 minutes or something, like 3 minutes 20 or something, right? That means I was almost done in like 6 hours with this entire project, and I made like 200 or 172 divines profit. And now you might think like, wait a second, where is all this currency coming from? And yeah, I got 2 Sublime Visions. And the first one was about, I think, 70 runs in or so, or maybe 80 runs in, and the last one dropped literally like in the last 3 runs, right? So the second one was the Pride one that goes for about 4 divines, but the first one that I found was Hatred. Hatred is by far the most expensive Sublime Vision, and they are currently going 150, 120 divines. And yeah, I think that's pretty good when it comes to the money making of Uber bosses. But honestly, can you expect dropping this one? Probably not. First of all, I found 2 in 100, which means it's the same drop chance as Ashes of the Star, as an Omniscience, as all of these like Uber drops, right? And then there is still like, I don't know, like 15 different versions or 10 different versions of those, and you have to have the luck that I had and actually drop a Hatred one. But even if so, if we say we did not drop that, so we put in a 0 here, we would still make 50 divines profit, which would be a solid farm of a 9 divines per hour. And if we say we haven't even dropped any of those, it would still be around like 8 to 9 divines an hour. And I think this is actually not really bad at all, considering that you cannot lose currency. So the first thing that comes into my mind for potentially next league, you know, Guardian maps are usually the same price or cheaper than the fragments. So if you do like, you know, the rotation with like Guardian bosses, which was this one, the Formed, for example. So you would drop the invitations while doing Guardians. Then you would do the Guardians and collect the fragments. Then you would, basically, you first do the Guardians, Shaper, like Maven, Witness, basically, right? You do the Formed invitation and farm Maven, Vritz next to it. And then you pop Uber Shapers. Because I think Uber Shaper should be probably the easiest or one of the easier Uber bosses in my opinion. I think like early on in the league, like something like Searing Exile or something like that, bro, this is really hard. But I think it's hard to judge because I'm not doing Uber bosses too much, but I think Shaper is one of the easier ones. So you would just go like Guardian map sustain out of your basically your what is it, I think it was this one over here, Remnants of the Past, where you have like a chance of dropping Elder and Shaper maps. So you would just farm, yeah, Shaper rotations and do Uber Elder, and both ways, you know, the map is cheaper than the fragment, and the Uber Shaper is cheaper, like the fragment that you get from Shaper is cheaper than the entire run. So this is like a way of like not losing currency, and out of 100 runs, without dropping any big money items, you know, you would still average like an 8.7 divines per hour, which I think is pretty nice. So this might something be for next league probably, if I want to do something like that. But overall, as I said, it was not as bad as I thought it's gonna be. I said a couple hours, and big drops can happen, and you cannot lose currency at all, whatever you're doing. And this is just the minimum price is calculated. You know, every Dying Sun is calculated with a 15 chaos. Obviously, they're all like not identified. That means, hey, if there is like a good one that rolls with like max roll of the increased AoE or something like that, they will sell for more than 15 chaos. The same with like maybe perfect Crusader gloves. Maybe you just vow all of them. Maybe you get like Ellie weakness or, you know, +1 frenzy charge. I don't know what you want to have on these gloves, but I think you can squeeze out some extra money out of these things, especially like amulets and so on. As I said, I haven't identified any of those. I just said like, you know what, I'm too lazy. Minimum price, and that's about it. And also like, I actually forgot in my calculation the Formed here, but the Feared, but they're like 10 C a piece, right? But it would still be like, what is it, like 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 22. Is it like here? I have it here, the Feared, yeah. So it is in here, but still like, you know, it's just like a lot of like passive currency, and I would actually, like, before doing it, I was like, oh man, in the tier list, Uber Shaper might be like a solid C tier or D tier because of that, you know, but after doing it, I would say it's more like an A tier, combined with like, okay, it's not the most fun boss to do, but the fact that you just cannot lose currency makes it like more enjoyable to do. So I would say we're gonna open these two, what is it, the Cosmic Reliquary keys, and get 2 more, or at least 1 pair of boots, 1 pair of gloves. The Reliquary keys are going for round about 2 divines apiece. Or maybe we finally get the Starforge. How about that? Because like 100 Uber bosses is not a single Starforge. So here's the gloves, and now we're gonna go grab boots for 2 divines, and that is then pretty much it, I'd say, for this episode, which is episode number 5, I think, right? 5? Yeah. So the only 2, or like 200 more Uber bosses to do, which is going to be the Uber Elder and Uber Cyrus, and then I'm done, and then I can make a final tier list, basically. Here, as I said, as predicted, a pair of gloves, a pair of boots in foil version, and yeah. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thanks for tuning in, thanks for watching. I'm off selling all this stuff, buying 100 of the next Uber boss, and go back to grinding them out. Alright guys, thanks for tuning in, thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.